Welcome to the One Gang Worldwide podcast, your ultimate ride into the world of motorcycles. Visit cyclesworldwide.com where we offer a completely free marketplace for everything motorcycles. Join our One Gang community where you can connect, share info, and swap stories with riders from all over the world. Join for free at cyclesworldwide.com and be a part of the One Gang community right now. On today's episode of the One Gang Worldwide podcast, we're joined by Chris McIntyre, co-founder and CEO of EagleRider, the company that transformed how people experience and explore the world on two wheels. Chris has helped create a global community of riders and adventurers through an expansive network of motorcycle rentals and tours, and today he'll be getting into how it all started. Chris is an awesome storyteller with an intriguing and warm personality, so we know you'll enjoy this one. Let's cruise into the world of EagleRider with Chris McIntyre, right here on the One Gang podcast.
Austrian stoic dude starts to cry at the table. They're behind us dinner after they just paid us all this money for, and he said, and he cheers us across the table and said, "Thank you for making our American dream."
Hey, One Gang, if you enjoy the podcast, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can turn notifications on to hear when new episodes are dropped too. Any of your engagement supports the show and helps us book great guests and keeps us going. If you or a friend would make a great guest, hit us up at cyclesworldwide.com or drop a comment. Thank you guys so much.
One Gang Worldwide podcast, brought to you by Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping. Since 1978, Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping has been the trusted name in transporting motorcycles safely across the country. With custom designed pallets and air ride trailers, your bike is secure and protected every step of the way. By choosing Keyboard Motorcycle Shipping, you're supporting a dedicated small business that prioritizes quality and customer satisfaction. Ship with a peace of mind, knowing your motorcycle is in expert hands.
Please visit shippingmymotorcycle.com. That's shippingmymotorcycle.com. And now, back to our show.
All right, One Gang, welcome to the show. Today we've got Chris McIntyre of EagleRider. We are excited. This is going to be a fun one. He's a great and funny dude. So welcome to the show, Chris. We're pumped to have you.
Ben, Serge, thanks for having me. And here's a funny thing about McIntyre. As we were talking, Ben and Serge, when I was in Scotland, you'd go to all these places on motorcycles and two wheels to experience the American dream. And the American dream is everywhere, right?
Absolutely.
Someone was telling me, I'm not 100% sure this is true, but I'm going to tell you guys. Mac is son in tier, which is country, but I'm son of the country, but we were kicked out or we left. Or we jumped on a boat to come to this beautiful place called America.
America.
Figure that one out.
Yeah. What a trip. What a trip for sure.
And I still don't know MACINTYRE or MCINTYRE. There's all these different things. You're like, that's because of this and that. And by the way, you can't understand anyone in Scotland until you drink 4 or 5 pints. And then you're like,
then you start speaking the language.
Makes sense.
frankly, speak every language in the world.
Yeah. Hey, listen, the breweries there are pretty awesome. So, all right, Chris, let's start with your roots, man. Where'd you grow up? What was it like in those early years of your life? What were your passions as a kid?
Okay. Where'd I grow up? In a really beautiful, beautiful place called Madison, Wisconsin. And why is it great? Not only are you brainwashed a Green Bay Packer and Badger fan.
You still a Packer fan?
Oh,
You
dude.
still a Packer fan? Okay.
My wife is from Anaheim. When we started EagleRider in our first house in Costa Mesa, my wife goes, "What are you doing?" It's really early. I go, "I'm preparing for the game. And I'm making brats and burgers and sauerkraut."
Nice.
And she's like, I go, "Baby, guys are coming over today." She goes, "What? I'm not ready." And I'm like, I'm laying our babies, your baby's bin that I saw in the background going to baseball. I'm laying them when they couldn't even move on pillows to prepare to start the brainwash of watching.
Yeah, you got to.
That was a far and driver. It was awesome.
Yeah. That was a great team.
Madison, Wisconsin. And if you said, what do we do? So I lived on this street called Trumpelow Trail, went to Madison Memorial, and it was a beautiful, beautiful place, and it still is. But it's a beautiful, beautiful time in America, meaning our Schwinn bicycles. We didn't have motorcycles, so to speak. We just had, whenever on two wheels, we put our little playing cards and
into the sport. With the close. So you get that. Yeah, of course. The good old Harley sound. Yeah.
And we just had to be home before the street lights. And it
Yes.
was complete mayhem. My dad was a heating, air conditioning, ventilation contractor for house and commercial. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. That was the time when times were good. We always had the country club membership at Blackhawk Country Club. Learned how to golf. I played hockey.
Nice.
Just run around, cause trouble. Sports, soccer, AYSO, everything. And it was a beautiful time. There was no fences in our yards.
Yes.
Our neighbors looked out for each other. Our neighbors turned us in when we caused trouble.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful time. And so to this day, buddies who I grew up with, Craig Macbeth, Kevin Horn, Charlton Hamer, I can go through all these lists of people. They've been in this house in the Lake Tahoe.
That's cool.
They still, from the very buddies I grew up with from kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, are my brothers.
That's
And
huge.
Chris
awesome,
McIntyre,
man.
what did I do? I grew up with 4 girls,
For so older.
3 above me and my youngest.
Wow.
So I'm like in the middle and the young. My dad and I were kind of alone. We were like a posse of chaos, and it was awesome.
That's awesome. man.
Posse of chaos.
That's me. And how did I even make it through high school? And I don't know. I've always had a pretty good mind, and I don't know. I was kind of disciplined and focused on balancing life, and I believe in living life to the fullest. I love the outdoors. I wasn't a big hunter, so in high school, my buddies would come up and go. My nickname was Mako. I'd go. We'll call you at 3 a.m. We're going deer hunting, in spring green. I'm like,
Have fun.
fucking 30 degrees.
Cold. Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, yeah, sure, I won't be there. So, fishing trips, hunting,
Nice.
camping. That's how I grew up, man. I grew up
That's
in
awesome.
a great America.
Yeah,
Heck
for
yeah.
sure, man. It's beautiful, beautiful times back then growing up. No question.
Yeah. So when you're,
Except-
oh, go ahead.
as I say, except then, playing state championships, hockey, it's outside. This is like that era. I mean, Madison
That's
had
crazy.
indoor rinks.
Mhm.
And by the way, that was like a religion for us. So, state hockey tournaments when you're like the age of then your kids that I saw in the background there.
Yep.
What is he like middle school? When you're 11 or 12 and you're outside and it's like 15 degrees and you're skating on the ice. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's like cracked and shattered because it's that cold.
I
That
know.
wasn't cool. And
Yeah, but see, the crazy part is when we were that age, right? We didn't care if the ice was cracking. We just still played, right?
it was
We really didn't care about how cold it was. Because I grew up in Boston, so it's not as cold as Wisconsin, but it does get its days, and for sure, man. So that was the beauty. I mean, even if we were playing in dangerous situations, we didn't even care. We just played and enjoyed our youth.
Ben, do I hear something cool? And Serge,
Yeah.
this is a cool thing. And then I promise. So
Yeah,
about leading years of your life, we were competitors. Like, honestly, we were warriors.
Yeah.
Our kids, I looked at like how we raised our kids, 2 girls and a boy. I was like, I'm never going to be picking my kids up and dropping them off at school. I think we did it. We forced our son, you're riding your bike to school today.
Right,
Oh,
right.
No way. I'm a girls. But just,
know.
we just did our we would get our money
funny.
that we're supposed to take on the bus. And when it snowed, we called it skeeching. We jump on the back of the bus and skid all the way into
Yes.
school.
Holding on to the
not
back.
prep
I know.
to
I
save
know.
that 20 cents so we could buy ice cream. But in my neighborhood, it was a cool place. In our neighborhood was Eric Heiden, won more gold medals at that time than he won in the Olympics.
That's right.
Art
Eric,
Johnson.
wow.
Badgered Bob Johnson, the University of Wisconsin, not only coached us every year in, summer camps, but Mark Johnson, Pete Johnson, the family. Mark Johnson,
Wow.
who schooled first goal
Yeah.
and the goal that sent it to overtime before Ruzioni
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
won against the Russians.
Holy shit.
That's
That
insane.
was
Holy
that
shit.
was who we played hockey with growing up, and they were our heroes. So
What well, how much older were they than you, like Mark Johnson?
like Pete Johnson was assistant coach at Madison Memorial when I played hockey. Yeah, high school. So what was he? He was a young guy, but like, wow, look at Pete Johnson skate. So what am I? Like, he's probably in college. Maybe he's
Okay.
probably at UW then. He's a Badger. Mark was a little bit older, already in the NHL. He's a
Yeah.
Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Hayden was probably a since, but a cool story about Eric Hayden. So by the way, every hockey player is also a golfer. True. There's this country club in Madison called Blackhawk Country Club. And I told you my dad was a contractor. So no matter whether it was good times or bad times, we always had enough money for that country club. And we'd be sitting there and I'm watching this guy with a rubber tire. Instead of filled with air, it's filled with sand. And this specimen, like Zeus or whatever, like a Greek god,
Right.
jumping like one side to the other side up the hill, hole number one at Blackhawks, just really steep hill going down. And he's going up with a tire filled with sand.
Jeez.
Building, and his legs are like tree trunks. He was training for the Olympics, which he killed. And that was Madison. Madison was, we grew up like kind of for control, undisciplined, but
There's been some great athletes that have come out of Madison, Wisconsin, man.
sports.
And local areas around there, man.
Yeah,
That's for
maybe. Sure. All right. And then I promised Ben, you were going to ask a question.
This is more interesting than
Hey,
my
Ron,
question.
This is cool, man. Go ahead, just roll it.
I think one of the inspirations for young men back then was you couldn't play sports, whether it's soccer, baseball, you weren't allowed to play, which means hanging out with your buddies.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to win, but honestly, it's about what,
The camaraderie, yeah.
Process, yeah.
Your brothers were your friends.
Mhm.
Right.
And so that was kind of your inspiration of, yeah, your parents said you're going to college, but that was more important that, man, I won't be able to play in the team, or I can't even play T-ball. So it's kind of a different time now.
Yeah.
Sure. Ben, what was your question?
I was just curious when you actually got on your first motorcycle, when you got the interest for it, and if that was early on or if that passion developed a little bit later in life.
Yeah, that's when I got kicked out of Cub Scouts. So when I told, I love excitement. So, and by the way, God bless. I mean, Lennon Felser, she was our Cub Scout mom, which is very progressive back then.
Mm-hmm.
She was awesome. Billy Linenfelser, his mom was our den mother. I'm not sure what you call it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought, I'm going to be a Boy Scout. My dad was an Eagle Scout. I never made it past Cub Scouts. But
No.
Billy had a bad ass, and I want to tell you, is like, oh, yes, dude. Which, by the way, that was a dream of mine. I really wish I would have done that. And I could have done it. I just chose not to.
Yeah.
But in Cub Scouts, this was a time when, Barry, that's your mini bike? And Mrs. Lenenfeld was like, you guys all want to go riding the mini bike? And I'm like,
yes.
in my mind, I didn't swear back then. I'm thinking, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how it happened, but within my first ride was jumping on that thing. I don't know. You start up. All I heard was a clutch. I really don't listen that well. And gas. And I went flying across Mrs. yard or backyard, went through their fence, which was the fence that was in the roses, ripped through that. I think my ride might have lasted, could have been 5 seconds, could have been 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Went out in the grass. All you had to worry about is maple tree, oak trees. And there's no, it was awesome. And I was hooked. All the everyone runs up, and I was like,
Shaking.
Well, and seriously, isn't that a weird thing? Like my first ride was on a Yamaha or Honda, who knows, 50s, whatever it was.
Right. Probably a 50, because I think that's what we all kind of started on.
Yep.
It could have been a Harley 70. I mean, who even knows? But wow. I was like, that was awesome. And
Yes.
now, and so how old are you? Like 8? I don't even know.
Wow, that was the first time you jumped on? About 8?
Yeah.
Damn.
And
That's good.
my first bike, Ben.
Yeah.
And by the way, my father, God bless, Thomas Frazier McIntyre, who's up in heaven, kept probably my guardian angel.
Right.
He early on, like, those are death machines. Chris,
Yeah.
while you live in our house, you can never have one. What do you think I did?
Got one.
Kevin Warren,
Dashed it.
my first bike I bought was parked in Kevin Warren's garage in
No
Varsity
way.
Hill.
Same thing with me too.
Horrible.
My parents didn't allow it, and I bought my first bike and kept it at my friend's garage, man.
All right, man.
I know.
But no, he knows. He knew. But so then, like in college, one of my greatest bikes I wish I still had was a PE 185. That was a Suzuki. I don't know what PE stands for. It was an enduro, which is on-road, off-road. It was like a dirt bike, street bike, 185, yellow. It was awesome. I broke the frame thinking it was really a dirt bike when it was kind of a street bike. And,
Yeah.
but
right.
that was an awesome bike.
Pure enduro.
Well, yeah, I know you went to University of Wisconsin, so go Badgers, of course. But during your time there, was motorcycles kind of more of a hobby, or were you kind of starting to think a little bit further along using them, or like take us a little bit through that?
I rode bikes I rode that PE 185 in the winter.
Yeah.
Trailblazer is probably how I became, in a weird way, you learn. That might have been skills that helped save me in doing stupid things later. But it was just a form of transportation. University of Wisconsin is, you can either choose to walk. And by the way, like you said, Serge, Madison's on an isthmus. And then what is an isthmus? There's 2 lakes on both sides, Monona, and it's colder. It's cold. When it's cold, it's really cold and windy. You would walk to school and your eyes would water and your eyelashes would freeze together. Yeah, to take your hand out, unfreeze your eye.
Jeez.
It was horrible. But
I've been to Madison. My brother was living outside of Milwaukee in Waukesha for a long time. So I used to come up and visit him, and then we drive over to Madison. And in the summer, it's a great college town, so we'd party out there. So it was a lot of fun, man. It's beautiful. People are always just awesome. Hey, listen, I also read somewhere that you were kind of inspired by seeing some old Harley Davidson mail carriers, and that kind of lit a match under you. I don't know if that what the article was, but I can take us a little bit into that.
Sturge, I love you. So
I told you, man, we do thorough research here, man.
So at Wisconsin, the first bike I truly bought brand new was a Harley Interceptor, which I was just at Barber Museum, and later in this, I'm going to show you my bike.
Great place. If anybody's
I was
never
there
been
this
there,
weekend.
they gotta go.
Oh my God! So they used to walk. I told you I have focus problems, but here is when I'm going to that museum, which that's walking through that museum. That's these are bikes.
Gosh.
Yep. That is a very
the
first
Interceptor, man.
motorcycle, that red seat, that 500 Interceptor that I bought because my buddy Kevin Horn bought one, so we bought dual ones. But so, all right, to answer your question, while I was in college, I lived in this house called Beta Chi, because maybe I got kicked out of my dorm rooms. So I had a fraternity. And it was a motorcycle. There was just motorcycles in back. Airmail Al is what we called him. He literally delivered mail on Langdon, which is all the houses in the college. Right. He was a mailman, and he literally delivered
in a Survey car.
On his swerve. And I remember, and by the way, I had this bike, which was badass. And
They were very.
man, someday I'm
Yeah.
going to have a heart rate. It was coffee and out of oil. It smelled awesome. And I'm right there. Oh, and I was like, which by the way, I think he also smoked a lot of weed. But he was that. I mean, think about it. A mail carrier.
I know, on a
Riding-
Harley. That's so cool, man.
It was just it was, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That is cool.
And I don't even know, it probably still exists somewhere.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, Hermio, yeah. Jesus, can't believe we found that. But that was awesome. It was a great experience, college.
That is out of control. So before EagleRider, what was your professional life like? So moving on from college, what did you do after that? Did you do anything that kind of helped lean you towards that direction?
Even though I'm kind of like all over the place and have energy, I'm pretty focused on like, real big benchmarks in my life. So I was like, okay, went to school, he graduated high school in 84. In my mind, I'm like, I'm graduating college in 88. I'm out of here in 4 years. That's it. I mean, I had a great time, but that's just how my mind works. And just
Right.
generally, I find when you do those type of, things, magic happens. So graduate May 88. I sold that beautiful Honda Interceptor. I had my PEA 185, so I sold 2 motorcycles, bought a used car. I had a German Shepherd named Dylan. I grabbed my hot equipment, my knapsack of clothes, and, you interview and stuff like that. It's a whole different area. I used to go to, and I was accepting a job. And before I accepted, it was starting in August. I was like, I'm going to go visit my sister at a job in Newport Beach, California.
Ah.
So I bought a car, stole my bikes. Dylan jumped in the back of the car, and because, you have no money, I just drove straight through, almost fell asleep 3 or 4 times, and made it to Santa Monica and then to Newport Beach.
Well, why'd you decide to go that way?
California dreaming, baby.
I know, dude. I know. Back then, it was wide open too. It was so beautiful.
You could have been Van Halen. Seriously, think about it. So this is like the 80s, 88.
29-hour drive. Holy cow.
You really, that's what I did. I actually stopped along the way because my parents left California and moved to Phoenix. So I said hello to them, and then, so it was California dreaming. And when I got there, that dream was real. And like, you're like, whoa, beaches. I mean, truly, it was an era of where the California dream, it truly existed back then. There wasn't
absolutely
bureaucratic mess and
right.
insanity left or right. It was just like live free and
have fun, man.
It was awesome. And
how old are you at this point? What are you, like 23, 24, 22? Yeah.
23. And so along the way, I'm like, man, I'm supposed to go back to, it was like Payne Weber or something like that. I'm like, I'm not doing that. So my sister, I go, hey, my sister Dee Dee in Newport, I go, give me 45 days and I'm going to, I got to get a job here because this place is awesome.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Newport Beach?
Yeah, I've been. It's beautiful, man.
And so, and that's literally the first house we bought is 5 minutes from there. So, I just went on a journey of interviewing in tech, and my first job then, or Serge, whoever I said, was NCR Corporation. And I walked in, I thought, I'm going to go and interview Rocky, TriStar Picture. So I went to Orion Pictures, Eccentric East, interviewed at Orion Pictures, got a job offer. I think it was like $18,000. I don't even know what I did. I'm like, ooh,
Got it.
got to be in the mood. Walked out of Orion Pictures, took a lot, saw NCR Corporation, in on Century Park East. That's kind of where Die Hard, those towers? Yep. Where it is. That's Century Park. So I'm walking up. To the left is NCR. And I'm like, I've heard of NCR. I think it's in Ohio or Dayton. It is. Walked in, grabbed a
and you talked about destiny
Mm-hmm.
and how things work out. Opened up an annual report. These guys do cash registers. They're in the financial division. I'm in walked up because I just had interview. Gave the days when you give your resume to someone. Said, "Hey, I'm interested. Is there someone I could interview in the financial division?" To the secretary. And as I'm doing that, a woman is walking in the front door of Central Park East NCR, walking up the stairs, stops, looks over, comes down. "Hello, what's your name?" I go, "Chris McIntyre." She goes, I don't remember her name. She's head of recruiting. "Would you like an interview?" I'm like, "Yes."
No way.
That was
Wow.
ended up working for a guy named Ted Biedrich, who became a mentor. And also, because my GPA was barely,
You sound like you and I would be hanging out in college for sure.
So when I got the job, my first day, he's like, "Oh, Chris, come to his office." Because I was in financial systems, like the start of, it was a really cool business, like data processing. I was really started cloud computing where they're stringing things
Yeah.
together. And he's like, "Chris, you kind of got a problem." I'm like, "Ted, what's the problem, right? I told you, man, I'm your guy. We're going to kick ass and I'm going to be your number one guy and just help you succeed in this business. Of course, you got to teach me financial cycles and how big."
Right.
I knew
Right.
nothing. And he did. He goes, "Well, your GPA is under 3.9. I'm like, 3.9? And this is at
See.
time when 4.0, there was nothing above there.
Absolutely.
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, you might have entered on the application that we don't accept we're a Fortune 50 company, NCR. You have to." So he literally went to bat for me,
Wow.
got me vice.
Oh,
Wow.
that's cool, man.
And that was it, man. Then we became number one financial sales team in the entire North American market.
And how long did
Jeez.
you work there? How long did you work there?
So I worked, by the way, my favorite number, my hockey number was 8. Ben,
Yours was 8.
when your boys say that's my number,
Yep.
magic. That's a number of the universe. So I asked Ted when I interviewed, because I told you graduated in May.
Yep.
Right.
It's Ted. I go, "Ted, he goes, "Well, when do you want to start? You got, next couple of weeks." I go, "Can I start on 8/8/88?" How's that work? So I started NCR Corporation.
That's incredible.
I know, 88. And we became to dominate. Ted, you might not even know that. And I really do believe in I'm not a numerologist, but I really do believe like there are no coincidences and numbers and
Patterns show up for sure.
I haven't, when I used to carry a wand, I carried the 8 of diamonds in my, and that's just all. Not going to go into that. But
Incredible.
what did you ask me? Or I
Yeah, I was just saying, how long did you work at that corporate job?
so from 88 to, we started EagleRider, which is called JC Bromed. Jeff Brown is my co-founder. So
Right.
that was the era when there was no internet, Ben. So you could just type in for names.
Right.
I think we put in like 30 times and Jeff organized me. And Jay was Jeff and Chris, JC, and Bromek is Brown McIntyre. And that was JC Bromek. And then we thought we were going to be like, what is that called?
Yeah.
Awesomeness or experience.
Right.
And we just created that name and then we did business as EagleRider. That was July 1992. And we didn't open our first store until 93 was a test market. So February, March, 94. So
Chris, let me ask you this before you get into that. What sparked that? To take us into how that became a business plan all of a sudden, because that was pretty much unheard of at that point in time. So can you take the listeners a little bit into that part of it?
So
what was that conversation like? Was you guys all sat down?
I get really lucky. And if I can offer any advice to anyone that listens is if they're young, like your future kids, Ben, or our kids, really, there are no coincidences. The magic happens and you meet people in life and build teams.
Yeah.
My co-founder, I just mentioned, Jeff Brown. There is no Chris McIntyre EagleRider, which I'll get to answer your question. Keep yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Do you have anything?
And as we started this, like Ted Biedrick opened up the door, and as we're starting this, and we're really successful at NGR, meaning we're doing, savings and loans were the only ones that did online real-time processing. That means when you went to an ATM, it immediately the debit credits, everything was found. Banks did batch processing. We still might, but I doubt it. Everything. So we started streaming computers together at Teradata, and just before mainframes at third cloud. So I was like, just got lucky.
Yeah.
And we just converted people, and they came to our data centers. That was when people used data centers instead of their own mainframes at banks. So I was like on the ground floor, had no idea, and we kicked that. It's like my sales goal was XYZ, and we were like 38,000% above it.
Wow.
We would go to the world. It's called CPC, and they had Cindy Acapulco and Chris McIntyre. And by the way, I look like a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
We were like superstars, but I didn't even know. I mean, I was an expert on bait. I would literally bring in all the smart people. I was like an economic major in the University of Wisconsin because they had me. And so I brought this team together, teams, and we would just sell Highland Park, Highland Bank, First Interstate, East West, all these banks, first Chinese banks. Along the way, I came to Ted and I go, Ted, and that allowed me to buy my first farm. Because remember Airmail Al?
Yeah.
And it was like,
What'd you get?
I got a 1992 Heritage. What was it called? A Softail Nostalgia.
Yeah.
By the way,
Nostalgia. Yeah.
That was Eagle 1, and Jeff would tell you it was Eagle 2 because he bought a lowrider, which is bad, and he sold it because Jeff was like a business grad from Michigan and completely he looked at balance sheets and balanced our bank account, and
Right.
Whatever that is.
and was like, "Fuck it, Jeff, let's go." And he's like, "Whoa, slow down, man." I'm like, "Whoa." So we're a good team. Jeff actually, along the way, all right, I know I move everywhere. So
That's okay. It's okay.
right
Go ahead.
each other. He's at NCR in information imaging or something like that. And I was in financial processing. We became really fast friends, and we both love motorcycles. So he bought his lowrider. I bought my Nostalgia, and we're just Terminators on. We're badass.
Yeah.
And we love motor, and nothing better. This was a day you didn't wear a helmet in California. You rode, kind of like Madison, Wisconsin. We drove without helmets. When it was cold, we wore them. And by the way, you should wear a helmet, everyone. But got my first convertible Corvette, all that stuff. And we're just started riding. We're like, as we're riding, we're just like formulating plans of this is awesome. And this is incredible. And do I really like the computer industry or financial banking? Does Jeff like, we're making money, a lot of money, more money than I thought I would. But along the way, the journey, we just decided on a trip heading up the coast, we just started formulating a plan. We used to meet in Jeff's house and my house. I lived in a house that we rented cheaply back in Huntington Beach, 3 blocks off the ocean.
Nice.
When you could rent a room for $500.
Yeah.
Jeff lived in Newport Beach, and this was probably around the same or less. We would meet, and we created we're going to start our own business. And by the way, Surge, then we didn't even know what it was. We thought it was our first business together was California Golf Promotion. And it was a card that we would go to all the golf courses in Palm Desert and Palm Springs. And in that summer, they didn't get enough use. So they gave us 3 rounds to fill the hotels. And so we'd sell a membership. By the way, is that interesting? A membership for golf actually was kind of the genesis of a membership of Club EagleRider that we started talking about when we had our first 4 bikes in the garage.
So as we're doing this, that didn't really work. We weren't making enough money. We just, some along the way, we're riding our bikes, and Jeff is going to school at Pepperdine, getting his MBA. Hey, Chris, let me ask you, are you guys still working corporate at this point, or you left? You got, so you're balancing both. You got a full-time job, and then you guys are doing that. Okay.
We're making good money. Like,
Right.
I don't even know what my first salary, but really good. Like, this is a start where I got $50,000 commission checks. I was like, I didn't think I'd meet that in
Nice.
a year.
Yeah. Young guy like that back in the.
Yeah, just because it was the beginning of online. It was data centers, which not
Right.
AWS. And
It's everything.
looking back, I wouldn't change anything, even though I probably could have been, if it was about money, I would have stayed put and created my own data centers. But it wasn't about money. It was about living well and
It's about loving what you.
those windy air. So we're doing that. We're creating these business plans of, we're right up the coast, and we meet some guys, and guys in cars come up, and 4 Germans in a convertible Mustang from Hertz Rental, and they're like, oh, man, they're so cool, dude. We're kind of cool. We're filling our bikes up. The Fernwood, if you've ever been in Big Sur, south of Big Sur is a place called Fernwood Motel. It's one of the best bars, and it's a motel. It's a shithole. And behind the Fernwood, there's albino grove of sequoias, which still, they cut all these sequoias down because they thought they were dead. They're albino sequoias. They really exist. And now it's like a bush. But we're really hungover because we hung out, and the bartender told us about all this stuff. And it's like 10, 11, and these guys from Germany pull up, and they're like, oh, man, that would be so cool to get Harley, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Terminator. And we're like, it's kind of that, that kind of stuff is in our ear.
Right. Right.
I mean, I'm not a really big guy. I could show you my muscles. Like the string bean, but we thought we were cool, right? That's what guys do.
Man, you're young. You're on a Harley. Come on. You're in California, dude. Are you kidding?
In the way we're thinking. And we start creating these business plans. And we met at Jeff's house every week, every Wednesday. And we said, okay, we're dumping California golf promotions. We're going to do something with motorcycle. And we honestly didn't even know what. We just knew it was going to be, we're going to do motorcycle tours, or no matter what, we're going to pay for our trip to go to ride the European Alps, the French, the German, the Austrian, where we beautiful women, sex, or beers, travel. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that, right?
Of course.
And that's literally, when I say a plan, it was just every Wednesday, every weekend we would meet, and we started putting numbers, and it became, he started doing his thesis at Pepperdine, which he probably failed, on motorcycle rentals. And then we started looking around. There was a guy who was doing rentals, and I think it was in Costa Mesa or Fountain Valley. We went to the place, we rented bikes from him. I think we even rented bikes before we bought our Harleys. Anyhow, we're asking this guy, we want to rent Harleys. He goes, that model won't work. Can't make enough money. I'm like, yeah, but that's what's cool, and that's what everyone wants. That's American dream on 2 wheels.
That's right.
Or that's just stupid. They're too expensive. They break down. It's not cool. I'm like, it's cool to me. So we rented whatever he gave us. Look at his insurance waivers. We're like, you could make money on damage waivers. And so we started looking at car rentals, and Jeff is doing his Pepperdine plan. We bought 2 Harleys, and we started that's literally the start of JC Gromack. Jeff would remember the name. We didn't even have a name, but we're going to be in motorcycle experience. We're going to go to Europe. We never went to Europe to ride, and it became a rental company in the U.S. And the maiden voyage, which I was kind of telling you about, really that beautiful trip. What made it work was every week coming together for a common dream and figuring out what dream was in our heart and what dream we could make money. One of Jeff's friends in his business, his MBA class was a guy named Ben Arnold, and he was a brilliant guy. He brought, whether it's Lotus Notes or before Excel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I'm old guys. And he an entire spreadsheet, and you just put in numbers. If we rent this many bikes at that much utilization, like a hotel, you have this many beds or this many bikes, and you can rent them 70% of the time at this price per day and upsells, and you pay your overhead. Holy shit, we're making millions. Of course, the math never works out there. But we're like, shit, we're going to kill it. And so that business model is kind of how we started. And then, we bought 2 bikes, went to Father Flanagan or whatever his name was at Queen Mary's by the Sea in Huntington Beach, which is a local Catholic church, banged on the door. On that first ride, he came out and blessed our bikes. We went on a journey, and
That's cool.
And literally we started with 4 bikes in a garage. Along the way, we quickly realized, Jeff and I wasn't focused enough. Operationally, Jeff was more financially sound in accounting, and
Chris, I wanted to ask you, what were some of, when you just had 4 bikes in the stable and a small budget, what were some of those challenges that you faced in those early days?
Ben, that's a great question. First challenge was Jeff and I realizing that we're a good team. We're loyal. We're smart enough to pull this off. We have different skills. I'm more of a gas pedal guy. He's more of, hey, let's just balance this out. We have these really good debates in a healthy way, and then break bread and drink beers afterwards, and then come together and go, you know what, Jeff, you might have been right. Then Jeff sometimes will look at me and go, okay, I'm not comfortable.
Maybe you were right.
You're freaking me out, but I think we should do what you are. And, but along the way, Ben, that's a great question. We're like, we realized we had 2 bikes, and we had no operational gifts in rental, travel, tourism, until a guy who was a hockey player. So what I do when I came to California, met a group of guys that played hockey and played on the semi-pro team while I was at NCR, and came with stitches, and it was great. We went to play in Vegas, and people be throwing beers, and it was a beer league fight. So I met a guy named Bob Pitts, and he was an attorney. And I go, Bob, we got to find somebody that can help us. And Bob goes, I know a guy. He was a bankruptcy attorney. So he dealt in death and dismemberment and destruction of companies. So we go, fuck. Bob, because this company's Go Vacations are the largest RV rental company, like the Cruise America. The vice president there is this guy, German American named Peter Wormer. And you know, the company's going bankrupt. He's brilliant. So Jeff and I don't know if we drove there, whatever. We met Peter. And Peter walked in, with his attitude, who the hell are you? What's up? And I go, we're going to start this motorcycle rental business. Harley rental. We're Kurt's rent a car, enterprise rental for motorcycles. He's like, looks at us. Again, remember I said there's no coincidence?
Yeah.
Turns around, opens up his sign, pulls out this is the day when there was not online files, there was actually paper files.
Yeah.
Pulls out this piece of paper and goes, drew it down. And Peter was an engineer from a place called Mittenwald, which is in the German Alps. He was Olympic German skier.
Wow.
Peter came to America. So you talk the American dream. This guy's American. Super smart, a sports warrior, came to America, no English, probably is back when Deutschmarks existed, not euros. Probably 600 euro or Deutschmarks in his pocket, and started working at Ski Dazzle, and then found his way to become VP of this RV rental company called Go Vacations, going out of business. Open up that piece of paper on his desk. Sure as shit. Renting Harley Davidsons at Go Vacations. And he said, guys, as he just off you. I asked Paul Doyle, here is a Paul Board. Now he's in Barbados. Somehow had enough money to move to Barbados after his company went bankrupt. I told him Harley rentals is what we should add with RVs. And Jeff and I are, yeah. So there are no coincidences.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Well, Peter, and he goes, so what do you want with me? And I go, Peter. And Peter, this, by the way, EagleRider doesn't exist without Peter Warren. He was really the core operational genius that knew how to do rental contracts. He wrote the first EagleRider rental system on it might have been a Tandier.
That's insane.
All right, so I'm aged. He's 14 years older than us, but he's just a really smart dude himself, German, and he's one of the first 4 bikes. So it's Chris McIntyre has a bike, Jeff Brown has a bike, Peter Warmer has a bike, and Bob Pitch has. Those are the first 4 bikes in Peter Warmer's garage, in an LA garage in San Pedro, to be exact, where the first 4 rentals, and remember I told you our dream was ride to Alps? The first 4 rentals were 2 Germans, 2 Austrians, so from Lufthansa travel. And of course, I might have exaggerated, and Peter did not like it at all. I said, Peter, tell these guys, they asked how big's your rental fleet? And go, oh, it's 100 bikes. It's 4.
That's so funny.
It was like
100 bikes, but you could only choose from these 4.
And I'm like, Peter, if we told me you had 4 bikes in your garage.
Yeah.
And Pedro of LA, Lufthansa travels, and he goes, never do that again. I'm like, okay, but
the other 96 are booked.
That's so awesome,
there's
dude.
4 bikes. By the way, I told Peter that and Jeff, I go, time is a man-made construct. So is accounting. Just because I see the future, I don't see today.
That's right. That's right.
What to do in the past. Let's talk about. So, they came, and that's the first 4 bikes in the garage. Was in
That's crazy.
1993, and
1993.
It was October 93, but at Peter's garage. So they flew in, and they took a cab because that was the days you took cabs. There's they pull up. Peter has a garage, not a nice garage like the big. Well, I have a. And in his garage, because inside any new, German American's job, he has a lathe and steel press and broken down jet skis, putting an engine together.
Yes.
A couple used bikes and 4 brand new Harleys. And they came up and they're get out of the car and they're like, "Listen, stop this." Yeah, I'm like, who are these guys? And these big German dudes. And one of them gets on. I think he checked on the bikes, the brand new, they're brand new. We put the first miles on. He checked the tread. I'm like, who that? I don't even check the pressure. I don't check the pressure. That's bad, everyone who was watching us. I don't even check the air pressure for my bike today. But I'm like, gee, guys are a little serious. They go off on a bike trip. I think it snowed. They're gone for 12 days. We're thinking, please, don't crash on legs. That's everything.
Right.
This is everything we have put in.
That's right.
We put our down payment on insurance, which was of Moyds in London and K Keeves. If we had 150,000, we bartered and put in a couple $100,000, including the bikes. They go on a trip. They return them. There's no cell phones back then. And we know when they're coming back. They come back. Whoever was pulls out 2 bottles of Jack Daniels. I'm not cheating. This guy, I'm like, he must have fucking crashed. Hugs me, gives me a bottle, gives Peter a bottle, gives Jeff and Bob a bottle. They're like, we look at the bikes.
See,
They might be cleaner than they came when
No
they
way.
left. I mean,
Then when they left, wow, nice.
we're like, they go, will you come to dinner with us? We're like,
see,
of course. Take us to Santa Monica Fish Company in Santa Monica, California. Still probably exists. And Jurgen, I forget, Jurgen's a big guy. He starts telling us a story of he invited two of his German friends. That was other two. I don't remember everyone's name, but Jurgen, his brother, grew up in Austria. And he said, ever since we were little boys, we had two posters. One of Franz Glamour, Olympic German gold medalist skier, and Elvis Presley on a Harley.
on a Harley.
On his
yeah.
Harley.
No, Elvis on that Harley was heroes. And they said, when we were little boys, growing up in our bunk beds, our moms used to come up and yell at us to go to bed. And he goes, we'd be talking about someday our dream was going to come to America. And he started to weep.
Gives me chills.
Really Austrian stoic dude starts to cry at the table. They're behind us dinner after they just paid us all this money for, and he said, and he cheers us across the table and said, thank you for making our American dream.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
man.
Jeff and I are just like,
Yeah.
he's picking me into, we're like,
Oh,
we're not in the business. We're in the business of delivering experiences of dreams. And by the
Yeah.
way, that was their dream to come to America. The first
Yeah.
four guys through Lufthansa travel hadn't had the same dream that Jeff and I had, that we never even, isn't that weird?
No, it's cool, man.
I mean, so that's just the truth.
Hey guys, the show will be back in 1 minute right after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, One Gang, tired of feeling like your butt's taking more of a beating than your bike on those long rides? Introducing Butt Buffer, the ultimate solution to saddle soreness. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. These cushions are made from medical-grade viscoelastic polymer, scientifically crafted to eliminate pressure points and keep your circulation flowing. No more numb nuts or numb butts. And here's the best part. Butt Buffer cushions are made right here in the U.S. for the last 30 years. From Harleys to Hondas, we've got a cushion to fit your ride perfectly. Plus, with styles ranging from sleek pebble polymer to luxurious sheepskin, there's a Butt Buffer for every rider's style. Get your Butt Buffer today at buttbuffer.com. That's buttbuffer.com. Your butt will thank you, and you'll ride longer and happier. We've got your butt covered.
I was going to ask you if after
without
those
Peter-
first bookings came in, if that's when you realized that EagleRider really had a chance, but I think that that's already been answered. That gave me the chills.
All right. In this heart, which by the way, yes, everything I wear is Eagle Rider.
That's
Yeah.
badass. Yeah, for sure.
Heck yeah.
And yeah, more Eagle Rider. This is just all
Nice.
Let's
old.
go.
That's all the
Thank you.
vintage gear.
When we're in the Smithsonian, which by the way, I give Jeff shit today. He came up and I know I joke around. Now I asked you a question about how cool it is, but the reason I showed you that shirt is to show you art. Whatever any young entrepreneur, dreamer, you build a team. Peter, we don't exist without. This company never happens without Peter. It doesn't happen without Jen. How does it happen without me? Does it happen with Bob? Then our first, as we talk about growing the company, we found riders. It's a company built by riders for riders. They have this heart. It's a passion. The pixie dust of success is finding something that you're really passionate about. And did we know it was going to be motorcycle experiencers? No. I didn't even know until the first 4 test customers in October 1993, Winter's Journey, told us how they broke off ice on the sea in Park City and, told us his dream and driving back. And that's when we knew. And we said, after they came back, we said, we're opening our first store. We're going to quit our jobs at NCR. And we did in February 1994.
Would you guys open the first shop? Was it on a nice strip, like a nice location area, or was it still a little bit in the wood? It wasn't a shithole.
It was a warehouse.
Yeah.
in Torrance, California.
Yeah.
And it was in a motorcycle area, meaning on Western Avenue and 190th. If anyone in Torrance, there's a lot of cool companies in Torrance.
There is.
But one company is called American Honda. And behind EagleRider, which we were Harley rentals at that time, was American Honda, was up on the hill. And my first bike was that I really owned was a Honda that I paid for. So I love all motorcycling, but
Me too.
the model was Harleys because Harleys were hot. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody's always dreamt of, I mean, growing up, obviously the kids like the sport bikes because of the beauty and the speed. But in all reality, most people, when you associate the word motorcycle, Harley Davidson is the first thing that pops into most people's heads.
So then he asked, was it a cool? I want to tell you, it was badass, cool place with old Miller High Life signs and Harley signs.
Yeah, killer, man.
And Suzuki. It was a warehouse in Torrance, California, which was, by the way, we knew we had to be near the airport because anyone that wants to access the dream.
Right.
And these are like fundamentals of our business plan that we started creating that Jeff Pearson, I think he got a D or a C at Pepperdine of motorcycle tourism.
On that thesis.
Oh,
thesis.
That's probably why he got the D. Oh, but they told him it wasn't a big enough addressable market, which you can look at it two ways. Either space travel through Elon Musk, either is motorcycle revenue. Everything doesn't have to be Procter & Gamble. So it's very focused. It's our passion, the pixie dust that makes all magic work. And it's what we all want. So that first location, those first 4 bikes became 40 bikes. And that location was just a warehouse in Torrance. We made it look cool. Peter quit his job. Well, actually, Go Vacation was going bankrupt. So worked out perfect. Peter looked at us and goes, I want shares. I'm like, yeah, you should have shares. So he became our first 20%. Jeff and I had 50-50. We gave Peter, I don't know, they're at 20% or something, and Bob X%. I forget what it was, but but Peter, very important, became our first employee and owner. So he's our first. And Jeff and I are the founders, and then really that's the first founding 4.
Right.
There's probably a founding 12 because we don't succeed with the next group of people. But Peter was our first employee, and that was, how much money do you need, Peter? He goes, 40, 50 grand. We're like, rent, paying for insurance. I mean, adds up, right? And so we bought 40 bikes. And how do we buy 40 bikes?
Damn.
We took every single credit card we have. Chris McIntyre, I think I had one in Dillon. I could tell my old dog from my dog.
Yeah. He's got his own credit line.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
That's so awesome.
Next to this, you're saying, and anything, I guarantee if you read about the video, everybody to start with.
Right. You got to put yourself in danger in order to.
Our danger was probably year one, hundreds of $1,000s. And what did we really have? I might add, because I did pretty well in commissions and stuff.
Right.
Outside of buying it, but I was buying Corvettes and Harleys. If I had 50 grand, I put 50. Jeff had 15 grand, he put 50. Peter didn't have any. Our money was a paid Peter, and Bob probably was the richest guy. All of us put money in, and we made him buy shares. And Peter didn't have any money, so we gifted Peter shares. That's how you make magic works when you found it.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we all had a passion.
Chris, I wanted to ask you a question. I know that, especially in the type of business of renting motorcycles, the liability is insane. So how did you go about securing the insurance for your business? And then in addition to, what were some of the tougher hurdles that you had to face with the insurance world?
Okay. I love that question. I'm going to go get coffee.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And
Do your thing.
by the way, last night or yesterday was our first snow in Lake Town.
No way. It's
Yeah.
Down in Florida, it's our
Now-
first like cool night or cool day.
Yeah, that means I went in my garage. I got a snowblower. That's right,
Nice.
Serge. By the way, when we bought this house, I know
Yeah.
I'm everywhere now. I answer your question, I promise you. Even though I'm from
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, don't. There ain't no schedule here.
I've grown up in the snow. So when we moved here, I'm like, I'm gonna have guys clear our snow. We have a big driver over there and a driver in front, and they plow it. And these guys do a good job, but I want the snow cleared at 7 in the morning. Not always cleared at 7 in the morning. And by the way, when we first bought this house, I swear to God, there was 10 feet of snow in the house.
Wow.
We're sleeping, and my wife's like, "You think our roof can handle this?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." And then I'm going to bed.
Start thinking about it.
Or anyhow, I
That's
brought a
so funny.
snowblower, and I'm gonna try and remove snow myself. And I
Nice.
shovel it until I can. So, I know I bounce around. What was your question, Jared? You was awesome.
I was talking about like securing insurance because there's such great liability on a motorcycle. How did you go about that? Some of the challenges you faced, and how did you break through to get what you needed?
Everything happens for a reason. So, played hockey on this beer league with Bob Pitts. He was a Canadian. By the way, that was a great league. Got to play with Chris Chelios,
Nice.
Gretzky, Duguay.
Really?
Ron Duguay was one
Ron Duguay, of course.
best hockey player. And by the way,
Absolutely.
he was a scrub. He couldn't even make the varsity team of Wisconsin. But growing up playing hockey your whole life, you realize you're really fucking good. But I was on but
That's
Everyone-
cool, man. You play with those
they're
guys?
a great team, guys from the
Chelly's a Wisconsin boy.
He is. Yeah, he's at Blackhawk now too.
I'm a diehard hockey guy myself, so
Yeah. Chelly and Cusack.
yeah.
We've done their guided tour. They've actually rented for me to us.
Nice.
So, Peter, we met Peter. We're like, Peter, how do you get insurance for RVs? We're thinking, if you can rent 30-foot RV with a bathroom, a generator, propane, that's like a death machine.
Absolutely.
We could do it on bikes. So that took, so as we're doing this, Jeff and I incorporated the first visit plan was July 1992. October 93. It took almost 2 years or a year and a half. Did you do the maths? For that first test rental. 2 years before we even opened the first store, because my job, when we met every week, I worked with banks. So I go, Jeff, I'm going to get us bank finance you. And these banks love me because I bank processing and data center. If I told you how many no's I got, if there was 40, it could have been 400. I would come back to the week. I got 12 no's. Mr. Sugarman, who loves me, he said, come on and you'll buy us beers, but too risky. Motorcycles are dangerous. Jeff was in charge of insurance. He'd come back. No. We met Peter. Peter's going to be our first guy along the way. And Peter goes, you got to go to Lloyd's in London. So we went to Lloyd's in London. Kay Keeves, this broker, found us. And there was a Western Insurance. Same guys who did U-Haul. Imagine that. Risking a U-Haul.
Wow.
Out of Phoenix, Arizona. And Republic Western. It's a long time ago. Lloyd's in London. And someone else of the Kay Keeves Insurance took a risk at EagleRider in this first floor. And that was it. And by the way, it was expensive. Insurance was more expensive than anything besides of all our over. Which, by the way, as we developed the business, we outperformed car rentals. And that still exists today. Not that. It's really most people don't want to get in an accident on a bike because you can get hurt. So outside of bikes falling over, it's the liability. It's not as much as it's very limited.
So the biggest concern for them obviously was people getting into accidents. So that must have been a huge challenge. So when you ended up finally getting it through, are you still using the same insurance company from when you started to
No.
30 something years later, or?
No, we left them because they were too expensive. And then we started performing. I mean, now we work with every major player, whether it was Empire, Fire and Marine, whether it was Zurich. Now we're with Tokai Marine, which is part of Philadelphia Insurance. And by the way, everybody that we've worked with, the founders of Philly, the McGuire family.
Right.
They're awesome. By the way, that's a really cool family.
Chris, does your insurance, and I know I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but EagleRiders is more of a franchise-based operation. So the insurance that you work with, they cover all franchises, correct? Or does each franchise have their own insurance? How does that work?
When you started, so we opened that first store. That first rental was LA.
Right.
First store opens February, March. I'm not great with dates. 94, it's around there. A year later, we opened up San Francisco. Again, near the airports. You always have to have a gateway. So you two can fly, whether it's in the U.S., domestically, or nationally. Then we said, I don't know, we opened up Orlando, then Chicago, just all these destinations. But as we did that, those were all corporate locations. And then that took 4 years. So it's first 4 stores. So from 94 to 98 was like, our dream on that first spreadsheet that we were creating, Jeff and I, before we even knew Peter, in 92, 93 was hundreds of locations all over the world.
Right.
I'm like, shit, Jeff. We're going to be like in wheelchairs before we even open up 100. I mean, it's taken 4 years to open up these.
Right.
We did it all in cash flow. No banks would really lend us. And so we started franchising. So our first franchise, I want to say it was 98, 99 was one of our customers that rented. In 95, first guided tour we did was me and Bob Bernard's, and a guy who went on it became our first franchise. A Canadian couple that went down to Cabo. So we went on like a 14-day trip to Cabo San Lucas, and when we got back, Al and Jody Karp said, we want to be your first franchise in Vegas.
That's cool.
So in 98, we opened up EagleRider Las Vegas. And so that insurance, it was all, we different pivot and go to different insurance companies and optimize and get back.
Right. Well, whoever gave the best rates, you would just
And when we
switch
got
to.
loan, start out SBA or our own money.
Switch
And
to.
we went, we just tried to share it. And we had think tanks. And the reason we had franchise meetings or corporate meetings is as we built team members, on the EagleRider family, whether it was the GM of LA or a franchise member, together to solve problems. And it was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
And every day there was problems. Every day someone steal, not every day, but a couple times a year, someone steal bikes. You'd be like, oh. And, it's painful. It's your babies. Sometimes people would steal from you, which generally didn't happen, but not everyone's honorable. And then you just fine tune your team to a group of lawyers that are committed. People work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Everyone takes bookings. You do everything. Fix bikes. If someone calls you 10 at night, jump on a pickup truck or the old Ford Ranger, put another Harley in there and do a swap out. It was awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah, bet.
Have giant parties, giant Christmas parties. Take care of your people, treat them well. It was awesome.
Sure.
What were some of the biggest decisions or steps that contributed to your expansion?
Jeff and I, along the way, and Peter, we met incredible people. So, because Harleys were cool, and not that we're cool, but because we created this cool business, stable Harley Davidsons, movie industry people, picture cars come to us. We had bikes in movies, and so
That's cool.
Really some badass people.
Wow.
Just come, and then professional Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, just Orlando. But we really had just like a group of cool people, and then we would always hang out, have beers, big Coke machines at the Out of Order. Universally, just push and beer would come out.
Nice.
By the way, we never told our insurance company that. But so you're
Well,
some of the we knew nobody would take a risk on us financially, even when we had insurance. It was just too risky. So we would go to friends, and some friends could be successful business people, sports people, whoever. And we would create giant parties, and D.O.B. Clark from Guts N' Roses, and
oh, no shit. Nice.
we'd still ride with those guys.
Nice.
We could afford. They would play acoustic sessions, and
Wow.
it was really
That's cool, man.
we knew some really cool people, and so we would just have these events and photo shoots, and we would have these parties, and people would come. We're like, hey, we want you could you help fund some of our bike purchases? And so Jeff and I and Peter created something Jeff called it management agreements, which was really the first share business. By the way, I'm not saying we're the first share. We're arguably probably one of the first share companies in the world. But what it was, we had all these cool people. Some of these people bought 10 to 20 bikes, and they would deliver to EagleRider in a management agreement. EagleRider would get 60% of the revenue, and the guy who owned the bike would get 40%. Then it went to 70% EagleRider and 30% them. Now, what did that mean? We covered service, maintenance, parts and accessories, insurance. And they allowed us to rent the bike. When it wasn't rented, they could call if it wasn't a customer, and they get a bike on the weekend. Sort of like, this is awesome. My Heritage, Electric Glide, Fat Boy, and they could use our stable as members of club.
Yeah.
It was before club, and they would get a revenue share, which is basically what people do in their houses with Turo and club.
Brilliant.
Eagle Share and all these share companies. Airbnb, you own the asset and you rent it out. And so and by the way, within 2 years of doing that, we had hundreds of bikes of that, which we used to show banks. If it doesn't work, check out these financials. You actually dare.
Right. Nice.
You actually make money in and listen. And so, but people were able to, after 2 years, all right, so the bikes might have, some of these bikes had 50,000 miles out. And no matter what you said about Harley or whatever bike you had, oh man, I mean, that Eagle One, that bike that I still, Heritage, and it's still, that would be the Smithsonian someday when EagleRider really does its.
You still have that bike, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
And it looks beautiful. I wish.
That's it. Oh man, the old Evos, man. That's still my favorite. Still my favorite era.
Yep, that Evo, that engine, that's original engine, probably has 100,000+ miles because that bike was also rented. I was one of course shared people.
Right, of course.
And Jeff sold his bike. Remember that I told you about that low?
Yeah.
And
lowrider, right?
I took delivery. I go, I put money down first. He goes, yeah, but I got my bike first. I'm like, but Jeff, you sold yours.
That's
he goes, that's a good steward. I knew we needed that money. I go, told you, Jeff, don't sell it. Because someday when we're gray, you're going to, I wish I had that bike.
Absolutely, man.
He has that bike.
Of course.
I'm the only one who gets to ride the original.
Great.
Thanks for tuning in to part 1 with Chris McIntyre. Check back next week for part 2.